There is a specific kind of joke that only history finds funny, the one where a stark warning is mistaken for an advertisement. Every so often, a culture takes a piece of scathing critique and quietly decides to use it as an instruction manual. Take a look at this board. It is Lizzie Meigie's Landlord's Game, patented in 1904. It was built to demonstrate the misery that rent-seeking inflicts on anyone who doesn't own the property, specifically designed to make players hate the concentration of wealth. That artifacts of critique have a habit of being embalmed into artifacts of worship. A few decades later, Meigie's design was repackaged. The meaning was entirely inverted, and it began selling as a celebration of that exact same economic concentration, under the name monopoly. The word meritocracy shares this exact historical irony. The sociologist Michael Young coined the term in 1958 in his dystopian satire, The Rise of the Meritocracy. He meant it as an insult, a label for a smug new caste of people who would mistake their own comfortable positions for a law of cosmic justice. Young lived long enough to watch his dystopian insult shed its quotation marks, put on a good suit, and become a supreme compliment. Today, it is recited with total sincerity in commencement addresses by the exact people who were meant to be the villains of his book. The modern use of the word relies on a piece of small print nobody reads. It sounds like an observation, the competent got picked, but the logic actually runs backwards. We see someone chosen for a role, and we infer their competence from the picking. Why else would they have ascended? The conclusion is quietly smuggled in as a premise. Meritocracy is not a measurement system. It is an ideological laundering machine operating silently in the background to disguise how power is actually distributed. This chart shows how meritocracy actually functions. It isn't a fixed property you carry around in your pocket like a wallet. It is a relationship. It only exists between a specific capacity, a judge, and an end goal. Notice these three axes: correct for what, measured by whom, and to be used how. A stopwatch settles a sprinter's merit because all three coordinates are nailed down. But applying this concept to a whole society is a conjuring trick. The system takes complex technical and social capacities and abruptly flattens them into a single ranking. By erasing those original coordinates, the system successfully suppresses the by whom and the to what end. It hides the specific motivations of whoever is holding the ruler and sells the compressed result to the public as a scientific discovery. Take away the specific task, and merit ceases to mean anything at all. It becomes an empty vessel, waiting patiently to be filled by whatever the boss happens to prefer. This creates two different games. One is played to a domain. You want a bridge that stands, so you reward people who build solid bridges. Then there is the version played to a person. Here, the goal is keeping the sovereign upright, rewarding those who anticipate moods and deliver flattery. In that second game, actual evidence-based competence is a liability. Highly capable people tend to carry inconvenient loyalties to the facts, to a profession, or to a result that might embarrass the throne. A person with no independent reputation has nothing to betray, so the sovereign performs an act. They anoint a favorite. They take pure favoritism and feed it into the machinery of power. They confer standing, like a marriage, but the public only hears a report. The anointment is received as a description of fact, laundering raw favor into a finding of objective skill. Here is where the believers do the believing. Possessing no other template for why anyone is chosen, the public supplies the missing competence by inheritance. They assume the person must be brilliant to hold the office. Nobody actually consults the work. The cynic at the top and the true believer at the bottom become collaborators who never meet. The machine hums because it tricks honest people into supplying the legitimacy that a corrupt regime could never manufacture on its own. The machine is highly effective going upward, but it runs backwards with equal ease. The exact same operation is used on the downward stroke to launder disfavor into imputed incompetence. A person may be demonstrably excellent at their task, yet be branded entirely unfit. This doesn't happen because they failed at the job. It happens because they arrived by a route the establishment didn't authorize, or they belong to a demographic the accuser dislikes. The charge that someone only got in because of what they are is issued with magnificent reliability by the connected and the inherited. The loudest gatekeepers usually reached the front through routes that went entirely unaudited. beneficiaries of the oldest non-merit category of all, which is being born adjacent to the door. A word that can crown the loyal and disqualify the capable by the exact same authority isn't tracking capability at all. It operates as a sorting mechanism, a device for marking friend from enemy whilst wearing the costume of a neutral scale. This diagnosis is old enough to have a founding text. In the Republic, Plato sketches a political malfunction mirroring this exactly. He describes a ship adrift with a crew who have never studied navigation. Instead, they spend their hours figuring out how to seize the helm. They learn how to flatter, how to conspire, and how to overpower their rivals for the wheel. The one who successfully drugs the honest captain and takes control is hailed by the crew as a master mariner. Meanwhile, the one man aboard who actually knows the stars is dismissed as a useless stargazer, specifically because he squandered his hours studying the sea instead of studying the crew. The hours are finite, and the courtier's hours go to the court. We consistently measure performance at a selection contest and then swear blind that we have measured performance at sea. Which brings us back to the small, naive question that defends this entire modern edifice. Why else would they be chosen? The honest answer, for pliancy, or for the convenience of having no convictions to inconvenience the boss, is unavailable to the believer. The reality is that merit has been stripped of its actual coordinates. It is a hollow stamp, applied after the fact, to validate those inside the room and lock out those on the street. It is the rare confidence trick that recruits its marks as unpaid staff. The system survives only because sincere, honest people volunteer to supply the missing logic. To dismantle the illusion, we have to stop letting the outcome write the premise.